Welcome back to the Morning Brew, everybody. I am your host, Amber Hendren, here with Dan Mayfield of Albuquerque
Business First.
I'm going to get it right. I promise you I'm going to get it. I just want to say Albuquerque Business Journal so bad. This next segment is brought to us by Albuquerque Free Press, and this is hot off the press. This is their very first issue, and you can get the same arts and entertainment coverage with the same fine writers, but with investigative journalism and know-how on the issues that matter to you most here in Albuquerque. And joining us today with Albuquerque, on behalf of Albuquerque Free Press, thank you very much, we have
Roberts.
two wonderful photographers.
Yes.
And you're going to be doing an exhibition at the South Broadway Cultural Center with a theme that I absolutely love, the notion of sanctuary. Holly Roberts, good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
And Fernando.
And Fernando, how are
Fernando,
you guys?
I've written about Fernando for years. We're old friends because you've been a photographer and you curated the show.
Yes,
And-
I did. I know it's like a 360, you know, seeing you guys again. So.
It's awesome.
Fernando Delgado, everybody. Forgive me for not saying your last name.
That's okay,
We're so
Amber.
familiar
He's so
now.
famous.
We're so famous, we
just-
know everybody
we have
knows
to say
Fernando.
One name.
So Holly, tell us a little bit about this exhibit that you have coming up.
Oh,
About
San-
the show.
About the show.
now.
Sure.
It opened a couple of weeks
Okay.
ago, so it is open, so people
Great.
can go at any point. And Fernando's the mastermind. He put it together and had the vision. And
The exhibition opened April 10th, and there are 5 photographers in this show. But when I say photography, I always think about a picture that's mounted on a wall, and it's not necessarily the case. These are photographers that are stretching the parameters of photography, and they're working on with the photo-based medium in ways that are original, first of all, which is really where the key to the exhibition is. The topic of the exhibition is called Sanctuary, and I'm going to let Holly talk about what sanctuary means to her, because this is the important thing about the exhibition, is that each photographer has their own take on the topic or
that
the theme.
concept.
Yeah.
so what Fernando did was he gave us the idea, and then he said, "You do whatever you want with it. Run with it." So I thought about it. I have lots of images, but I realized that all of my images are really about. There's a lot of fear and darkness and just kind of, they're not places of sanctuary.
So
my
how did
work.
you translate that into something of sanctuary?
Well, I thought, and then I realized that my studio is my sanctuary. That's where I
that's
go.
beautiful,
That's where I
Holly.
go to make the work that I make, to kind of get through the things I need to get through. So I had them all be self-portraits. All my images are self-portraits that I've done over the years, since it was really about me in the sanctuary of my studio. And Fernando thought that was wonderful.
That
and
is phenomenal.
so that's what we did. That was what we went with.
But what Holly does that is beautiful is that she combines photography and painting and collage. So this is where I get into where photographers begin stretching the medium. So if you think you're going to see a bunch of silver gelatin prints or color prints on a wall, that is not the case.
Okay.
So in Holly's case, you'll be seeing, painting combined with photography and collage, and in ways that are very original.
Is this one of yours, Holly?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Wow.
It is. That's called Woman Dreaming. So they were all different sort of.
Is that you asleep in the studio?
That's me asleep in the studio. Instead of working, I was snoozing. And actually,
is this one of yours as well?
yes, it's called Guard Dog, and it's when you have a Mac, you have the photo booth, and you can do things to your face. So that's me growling with a little bit of extension.
Do you have a guard dog in the studio?
Yeah, terrifically ferocious dogs. So.
So did you guys come up with the idea and pitch it to the city? Did they come to you and say, we have a gallery space open? How did you end up getting
Well,
this
it was
spot?
interesting. Augustine Romero, the curator at the SBCC and the Chemo, invited us, what seems like ages ago, 2 years ago, to do the show, and then we talked about the topic, and it was Joan Fanical, who's one of the photographers in the show, that came up with the idea of sanctuary. And we left it open because sometimes when you define things too much, you pigeonhole the artist, and you can't do that and limit the creativity. So in this respect, we left it widest sanctuary to you. It's either your work, is a place, is a frame of mind, whatever it is.
There were no parameters put on the artist.
There
at
really
all.
weren't. It was really our interpretation.
Exactly. We had the studio visits with each photographer, and when Holly said the self-portraits, and I don't have a safe place, but my work is my safe place. I said, great, that's your sanctuary. So.
And that's so common for artists to find sanctuary in their work.
Exactly.
And their music
Exactly.
or whatever. I mean, that is essentially how artists become artists.
Right,
It's
right.
safer in the art sometimes, or
Right.
it's safer in the music.
Because you have all this stuff that needs to come out, and that's where it's the safe place, or the way it can come out.
Have you always been a photographer?
No, but in the 4th grade, I was the best horse drawer in the whole school. So,
Horses are very difficult to draw, by the way. I'm
exactly what
impressed
we were
with that.
talking
I'm
about, yeah.
impressed with that ability.
Thank you.
You started sketching and drawing when you were a young girl?
I mean,
and-
from the get-go, I just always had that identity of being that person who drew and painted, and so I think it was never not in my identity. So.
Well, the gallery we were talking about earlier, it's one of our favorite spots to go to. It's got great skylights, and how'd you kind of work with that at the South Broadway?
Well, it's interesting. One of the photographers, Patrick Nagatani, who's
One of my
here.
old professors from UNM.
Oh no!
There you go.
Oh my
That's a
God!
classic.
I know
Patrick.
it's,
It's great.
Yeah.
it is a 360, but Patrick Nagatani is his sanctuary is really, and I guess we've all been in the place where we get in our cars and we're sort of like in the cockpit and we zoned out, and all of a sudden we wake up and we're there. But his theme which is a fascinating theme, is from a novel that he's working on called The Race. So these are 15 women pilots from all nationalities, they each flying an airplane. So what you'll see is
There's one of them there.
his airplane models that he built.
Are these the models he
And
did? Because he
photographed.
did the series with the little cars.
Right,
That
right.
is
Is
correct.
this similar to that, but with airplanes?
Well, he worked in the film industry for a while doing the miniatures for film, and then so this is a perfect example of that of an extrapolation of that discipline into fine art. So the airplanes were built and then photographed and then assembled so that they look like they're flying, and they're real planes flying. They're not. But it's the important thing is that with each of these photographs, there's a story of a woman from a different country that is flying this airplane and what is going through her mind.
You create a whole narrative around each piece. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Which
It's
he's
wonderful.
always done. He's
Yeah.
always built these incredible tableaus and then done things. And this is almost like a smaller, quieter version of
That's
that.
very cool.
Can't wait to see that.
Yeah. Well, he did the series with cars that were miniature cars, like stuffed in the dirt. It was really fun.
It was as
Patrick's
if you,
very-
you came across an archaeological dig and there was a Mercedes-Benz in the excavation, you know.
Really?
and
Yeah.
What the? So because it was a photograph, it looked real. I mean, that was his attempt. So they were always very tongue-in-cheek.
And this was your
Yeah.
teacher?
Yeah,
Your
at
professor
UNM.
at UNM?
And now he's doing airplanes, which is awesome. I love it. I love it. But and you've been around. You've photographed. You've had a bunch of shows around. Give us
Well,
your background. briefly.
it was funny because I not only had the pleasure of curating the show, but I'm also a photographer, and and I've been in New Mexico for 9 years now.
That long
As a matter of
already?
fact, I know.
think we wrote
9
the
years
first stories
ago,
about you. Yeah.
wrote the first of my first solo show here in Albuquerque.
Nice job, baby.
So it's a nice 360.
There
when
we
I
go,
heard
there
it
we
was
go.
here. But
No wonder you're famous now.
yeah, right. I'll never outlive it, right?
Me either.
Right, right.
But do you know, it's been a great journey because coming here from New York, and I was in the advertising industry for many years, and then stepping behind the camera, which was what I wanted to do anyway, was not only natural, but it was an easy thing for me to do. But I had to find a place where I could focus that energy, and I was able to do that here.
Yeah, you went from the full commercial side to the fine art side of work yourself.
Yeah.
What was that like, that transition? I mean,
What a
there's got to
jump.
be a mental shift with that.
It is always a mental shift, but you know what? There are things that you take from each side that actually complement the other. Eventually, those dots do connect, which is what's fascinating. For example, I can look at a set, whether it's a model, it's a still life, or whatever it is, and really, shoot it very quickly.
Well, the show is open now at the
Yes.
South Broadway Cultural Center in the
Please
main
come.
gallery there. Go and check it out and see some great work by these guys. And really, a bunch of our old friends from Albuquerque have worked at this great show at the South Broadway Cultural Center based on
Thank
Sanctuary.
you, Albuquerque Arts and Entertainment Magazine, for this, bringing us great people
Albuquerque
like
Free
Fernando.
Press now.
Albuquerque Free Press. They're going to fire me from this. All right, more after the break coming up.